Will Smith's former close friend, brother Bilal, is going all the way in, and the internet is eating it up. He's accusing Will of moving shady behind the scenes and claims it had a ripple effect on other people's lives too. One of the names getting pulled into this mess is Bryshere Gray from Empire, and the rumors are getting nastier by the day. Online talk is now saying Bryshere's life took a hard turn after being around powerful circles, and Bilal is hinting that certain industry connections played a role in how things spiraled. None of this is proven in court, but once a story like this hits the timeline, people start putting pieces together fast. Bilal says he already spoke publicly before, and that interview spread everywhere, worldwide. He claims that's when Jada reacted, not with facts, but with anger. Bilal says she went on radio and made statements while admitting she didn't have all the facts, and he believes that made things worse for them legally. He also claims a cease and desist letter was sent, and he pushed back hard, saying the legal pressure didn't even match the situation. In his words, it felt like overreach and intimidation, like somebody wanted him quiet more than they wanted the truth. Bilal says after that, different people allegedly tried reaching out to him through back channels. He even mentioned names like Charlie Mack, implying that the message wasn't random, it was coordinated. Again, these are Bilal's claims, but he's talking like someone who believes he's got receipts. Now, Bilal is reportedly in a legal back and forth tied to Jada's camp, and it's getting ugly. He's been saying for
put out an interview with Will Smith grabbing Alfonso Rivera's penis, squeezing his nipple and trying to put his finger in his butt. Jada responded to the first global interview that I did with you.
That was a global interview.
Yes, it went all over the world.
It was in Arabic, I saw it.
Yeah, it's India, everywhere. I talked for 2 hours.
Okay.
And I said some pretty, what some people may think to be outrageous things, but I knew them to be true and had the evidence to show that it was true. That's when Jada responded out of anger, not out of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Because for her to be a global iconic superstar, you rushed to the Breakfast Club to say, number one, that, I extorted you, there was a money shakedown. You said you didn't have all the facts. So that puts you in legal jeopardy right now. You said all the facts will come out. None of the facts came out. Now you, Will, and yourself are in legal jeopardy. Her lawyer sends me a cease and desist letter, which I had to report him to the bar, Kenneth B. Hertz, because he said I never knew Will, that I never worked for Will, and that he said he represented Willard Carroll Smith, which is Will's real name, but he was asking me to take down statements from Jada. So that's what we call in law overreaching. You cannot, if you're saying you represent Will, you can't compel me to do something against Jada,
okay,
right? So I already knew that I had him legally. So I said, okay, I got y'all. Now, once that happened, there was another interview, of course, when she came outside and reiterated that she was suing, right? And there was another interview with TMZ just after that where one of the cameramen asked Jada, hey, Jada, have you seen Will with any men before? And her answer was no. So now that's a lie too, because I put out an interview with Will Smith grabbing Alfonso Rivera's penis, squeezing his nipple and trying to put his finger in his butt. After that, they reached out to me through many people, one being Charles Austin, AKA Charlie Mack, the federal informant. He reached out to me through a friend. From my understanding, allegedly, it was Will and Charlie together.
For a while that certain connections exist between Will and other major industry figures. And he kept teasing that he had footage that would expose things people weren't ready for. Bilal isn't just some random voice online either. He was allegedly around Will closely for years. He claims he witnessed things that made him look at Will differently, and he specifically brought up Dwayne Martin as a name tied to what he says he saw behind closed doors. Bilal described a moment on a studio day where people were trying to locate Will, and he says Will was nowhere to be found even though his car was there. Bilal claims he searched the usual places, got frustrated, and ended up checking a private room. And what he says he walked in on shocked him completely. He claims it was an intimate situation that he wasn't supposed to see, and the way he describes it makes it sound like something that stuck with him permanently. He didn't present it like gossip either. He spoke like somebody reliving a real memory, and that's why it's spreading so fast. As expected, Jada immediately pushed back and called the whole thing lies, and Will's side also denied the claims. But in today's world, denial doesn't stop the internet. Sometimes it makes people dig even harder. And what really made people pay attention is that Will finally addressed the chaos publicly. He didn't go into details, but you could hear it in his voice. He knows how crazy the internet gets. He even acknowledged the memes and the jokes, basically saying the world is messy right now, and it's hard to know what's real anymore. That's the scary part about stories like this. Once allegations, old clips, and rumors combine, it turns into a full-blown storm that doesn't slow down. And with Diddy already under a microscope, people are now questioning everybody connected to that same era and those same circles. So the real question is this.
And then I saw sexual acts that when I walked in them.
Who'd you walk in on?
Him and Dwayne Martin.
Okay.
Hollywood is the hurry up and wait game. So 3 minutes later, after them telling me, hey, you got eyes on Will, we need him to come watch this. So I'm running all over the studio. He's not in his dressing room. I go to the cafeteria. I'm like, well, but I see his car there. I'm like, where's this guy at? So now I'm holding Dwayne down too. So I have the keys to his dressing room. So I'm like, yo, and they're calling I'm on walkie-talkie and they're calling my cell phone. Yo, we need to get Will here. I'm like, yo, kind of fucked down. Like, I'm trying to find this. Like, this is unlike him, right? So, all right, I open the door to Dwayne's dressing room, and that's when I see Dwayne and having anal sex with Will.
Let me process that for a second.
There was a couch, and Will was bent over on the couch, and Dwayne was standing up, killing him, murder. It was murder in there.
Is Bilal telling the truth, or is this just another headline designed to blow up a celebrity's name for attention? Either way, this story is getting darker by the day, and the internet is not letting it go. Some of it is funny, I'll give y'all that. Some of it is funny. But Will finally reached his limit and addressed it head on. He said he hasn't talked about it publicly before, but he wanted to make one thing crystal clear. I don't have nothing to do with Puffy, so stop with the memes. That's what Will told the crowd. He basically said he already has enough going on in his own life and doesn't need to be dragged into anyone else's mess. He even joked about how people were doing way too much and said straight up, if somebody says that, it's a lie.
He's out there allegedly with male prostitutes. He's pissing in the trailer. He's acting psychotic, right?
The same thing he's doing now.
Beyond that. But this is why a show is going on, right? So I'm like, I pull him to the side, right? And I said, listen, I'm here to help you and so forth and so on. So he was like, all right, I feel that. He said, everybody on the set know you. Everybody seem like they love you. Okay. I want to love you because everybody else love you. I said, if that's what you want to do, then do it. But he kept acting up. And then one day I said, what the F is wrong with you? And he was like, you know. He said, you know Will me. You know Diddy made me suck his penis. You know what's going on. You know Charlie made me suck. And I said, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea. So he crying, no blood is coming from his nose. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And I'm like, yo, listen. So I grabbed my husband. I said, listen, I don't know. I didn't know what happened. Nothing. I was just asked to come.
Is this true?
Yeah. No. I'm gonna let you about to see if it's true from the paperwork. Oh, we telling something that got paperwork involved. Let me get to the paperwork. So at this point, I'm crying because I feel his pain. Like I could kind of tell when somebody phony and all, but it was the pain where the snot was coming out his nose. His nose was bleeding. He in the corner screaming, balled up, right? Like I could feel his pain, like he had been raped, like he had been forced to do something. You understand what I'm saying? So I said, well, listen, let me find out what's going on. He said, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Right? So I'm like, Yaz, I'm like, yo, just relax. I said, everything gonna be okay, you know? And he was like, no, they gonna get me if I say something. They gonna get me if like he's spazzing.
Will made it clear he normally doesn't respond to internet talk because people lie every day online. But this time, the jokes hit different, and the memes were getting on his nerves. He said it was out of control. Now, while Will was trying to laugh it off, Jada's energy was way more aggressive. She wasn't playing defense, she was talking lawsuits. She went on interviews saying Bilal was lying and threatening legal action. Cease and desist letters were mentioned, and it turned into a whole intimidation vibe. But here's where things get interesting. Even with all that talk, nobody actually sued Bilal. No case filed, no court battle, no public legal win, nothing. So people started asking the obvious question: why threaten court if you never plan to step in it? And the reason people keep pointing to is simple. Court would mean proof. If Will and Jada took Bilal to court, they'd have to prove he was lying. And Bilal has been talking like somebody who isn't scared at all. Because Bilal wasn't just throwing out gossip and running. He kept doubling down like,
is this guy crazy or what's happening? So I end up telling Charlie Mack, and he said, I'm on my way out there. And then he said, hold on, Will wants to talk to you. So I said, okay, no problem. So now he said Will wanted to talk to him once Charlie Mack got out there. So he wouldn't talk to me when I was on my phone. So whenever I talked to Will about sensitive topics, Charlie would meet up with me, call Will, whatever number he called, then put me on the phone, on Charlie's phone, not from my phone, right? So Will admitted to me that he had sex with Bryshere Gray, but it was consensual, right? So I'm like, okay, so now it's starting to make sense, because I would have never believed that the way this guy's acting, something had to happen. So now Will told me, and this is going to be in paperwork and everything, right? So when Will told me that he did have sexual intercourse with Bryshere, he said Bryshere did ask him to stop. Will said he completed the act, then stopped. Right then and there, when a person say stop, that means stop. Period. So I do believe that Will Smith sexually assaulted Bryshere Gray. Period.
I was not expecting any of this.
I know you.
The rumors of Will Smith being gay and having gay relations with who was it with?
Did he?
I know, right? Hold on. So apparently Will's assistant, which I don't know if this is true or not. I mean, the whole thing sounds fishy because the same guy tried to interview on my platform and I said no, but he claims he saw Will Smith with Dwayne Martin.
Oh yeah.
I know. I know nothing about this. This is crazy.
I mean, well, you should interview Tisha
Campbell, who was married to Dwayne Smith. That'd be an interesting interview.
Wouldn't it?
It would. You know her?
I do.
All right, let's make some phone calls.
I don't know. But I mean, and then there's, what would be said and what wouldn't be said. But, I heard more rumors about Dwayne than Will.
Oh, you heard rumors about Dwayne? Oh. I heard some rumors about Will and Jada, which I won't mention because I'll get sued. But I've heard some rumors.
Bet, let's go there. And when months passed and nothing happened from Jada's side, Bilal moved even louder, saying he was ready to expose more. That's when Bryshere Gray got pulled into the chaos. Bilal claims Will had him around Bryshere during a period when Bryshere was struggling, and according to Bilal, things on set were getting messy. He described Bryshere as acting unstable, moving unpredictable, and clearly not okay mentally. That's not a joke situation, that's a real spiral. Bilal claimed he tried to pull Bryshere aside privately and talk to him like a human. He said he approached him like, "Yo, I'm here to help you." And at first, Bryshere seemed like he wanted guidance, saying everyone respected Bilal and that he wanted that same kind of support around him too. But Bilal says Bryshere kept acting out. Then one day,
he's with my man Charlie Mack, so Charlie was with me every step of the way. First out the limo, so Charlie has been with me, 30 years, coming up in the business. So, you know, he's surrounded by a whole lot of strength. He's surrounded by a whole lot of love. And all he has to do is add discipline, and he gonna be all right.
It's like Uncle Will, you know? Who is best to give you advice? And it's Will Smith, and I'm getting so much good advice. I got my first acting role, Empire, and it's changing my life. And it's like, I'm listening from the greatest.
According to Bilal, Bryshere broke down and started saying disturbing things, implying he felt used and controlled by people around him. Bilal described it as emotional, intense, and painful to witness. Bilal says he was shocked because he didn't know what to believe in the moment. He claims Bryshere looked genuinely terrified and kept saying he couldn't speak up because they would come after him. Bilal painted it like a pressure situation where fear and silence were part of the control. And according to Bilal, the breakdown wasn't just drama. He claimed it looked like trauma, like somebody carrying something heavy they couldn't process. He said it hit him so hard he started tearing up too because the pain looked real. Then Bilal made an even bigger claim. He suggested that later conversations made him believe there were deeper layers behind what Bryshere was going through. He implied there were things happening behind closed doors that never became public. And that's why Bryshere's behavior didn't make sense to outsiders. Bilal claims that when he tried to alert someone else about the situation, the response wasn't protect him. It was more like handle it quietly. He said certain people didn't want noise, they wanted control. He even claimed he got routed through middlemen.
Here's Mom. I'ma kick you in your pussy and then I'ma go to work North Philly style, bitch. Fuck you. And Charlie. You happy now? He's a gay porn star. Are you happy now, Andy? For a book that didn't sell. I hope that new husband of yours leaves you. And maybe it's time you tell your son why his father is really in jail, his biological father, for all of his life and what you had to do with it. Fuck you! You fucking CI bitch! I'm sorry. That bitch came to me and begged me for my help. I told her to get the fuck away from Charlie. I did everything that I could do to get Bryshere, to help her get Bryshere out of California into Chicago State to be ready for filming. She knew she knew what Will did to him. But because of Charlie, see? And Charlie had promised her all kinds of things. And all she had to do was pretend to be a broken down single mom who worked her way up through the ghetto and raised a superstar for television, when the truth is, she wasn't nothing but a drug dealer's whore.
Anytime serious topics came up, like sensitive conversations weren't allowed to happen directly. According to Bilal, that alone told him the situation was bigger than just personal drama. It was damage control. Now, to be clear, these are Bilal's allegations, not proven court facts. But the reason it's spreading is because the story isn't being told like random internet trolling. It's being told like someone who believes there's documentation, messages, and paperwork that backs parts of it up. And once Bilal started saying words like paperwork, the internet went from joking to digging. Because people might ignore a rumor, but they don't ignore receipts. Then the conversation swerved again when the internet tried connecting Will to other long-standing rumors involving Diddy and other industry names. Even the interviewer admitted the whole situation sounded messy and unverified, but said the claims were circulating everywhere. The interviewer even brought up
leaving. And he started telling everybody on set what was going on, that I knew that Will and Diddy allegedly raped him.
Oh, listen.
Okay, so now I gotta get my lawyers involved. Now we come to paperwork, right? So I let him know that I was gonna sue him. That's number one.
So
To sue Yaz. Because two things happened. Number one, the money he was supposed to pay, he didn't pay me, because Will was going responsible for the bulk payment. Then he was going around telling people I knew about these sexual assaults against him, you know? And so what happened with that was the lawyers got involved, then Charlie and Will arranged a lawyer for Bryshere. So they was telling me like, look, B, let this thing go. So I'm not letting nothing go. And this is to Will and Charlie allegedly telling them that I need an NDA from this dude. Because this dude, whatever y'all got me involved in is something dangerous and filthy and diabolical. So they was like, well, we can't do that. So we'll pay you to sign an NDA with him. And I'm like, I don't want your filthy money. I want this guy to stop saying that I know that you and Diddy did something to him. Allegedly. So then they came back. My lawyer said, listen, this is the best that I think can happen that will protect you. They will allow a mutual NDA where Bryshere won't say anything about you, nor can you say anything about Bryshere.
But you're talking now.
Right.
That Bilal once tried to come on his platform and he declined it, which made the whole thing feel even more chaotic. Like everyone had heard something, but nobody knew what was safe to touch. At this point, the story isn't just about Will responding to memes anymore. It's about why legal threats never turned into legal action, why Bilal keeps talking like he's untouchable, and why Bryshere's name keeps getting dragged back into the spotlight. Because when somebody says, I'm not lying, and nobody takes them to court, the internet starts thinking one thing. Maybe it's deeper than we thought. But, I heard more rumors about Dwayne than Will. That's how the conversation started shifting, and you could feel the tension right away. The interviewer even hinted he'd heard stories about Will and Jada too, but he wasn't trying to say too much on camera because he didn't want legal smoke. What made everything hit even harder for Will was the timing. Just months before all this blew up online, Will had publicly announced he was going to personally mentor Bryshere. And on the surface, that...
Now he's saying that Bryshere Gray told him directly that he had been essayed by Will and Diddy. That's what Bilal is saying. Tell me something. Have you ever heard anybody else say that?
New information.
Have you never heard anybody say that before?
Kids?
Yeah. You never heard me? I could have sworn to God I said it. Back in 2022 when y'all asked me if I was going to see that Fright of a film.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did say it.
That was a year. That was a year before Bilal came to the internet telling wild tales of Dwayne Martin power drilling Will Smith over the edge of a couch.
Damn, not power drilling.
Now he wants to talk about the kids. Because that was funny. He sat down with Tasha K. Apparently he sat down with Andy Signori over at Popcorn Planet, and apparently he's following the same media trail that he did last time. Now he's self-publishing his book because he couldn't find a publisher to put it out. I Am Whistleblower is the name of the book. What was it, 38 years of Will and Jada. Now he wants to talk about Bryshere Gray. That's funny, nobody was talking about Bryshere Gray but me.
Look positive. But once controversy enters the chat, mentorship stops sounding wholesome and starts sounding like industry control. People started comparing it to other celebrity mentorship situations that turned toxic over the years. Not saying every mentor is bad, but Hollywood's track record is messy, and the public doesn't trust it like they used to. In old footage, Will was praising Bryshere, saying he was surrounded by strength, love, and guidance. He mentioned Charlie Mack being there every step of the way, and framed it like Bryshere just needed discipline to stay focused. It sounded like a feel-good comeback story, until the internet rewound it with suspicion. Bryshere was even talking like a young star who finally got his break, saying he was getting advice from the greatest, that his role on Empire was changing his life, and that he was listening closely. At the time, people saw it as inspiring. Now, the same clips are being replayed with side-eye energy everywhere. Then the conversation took an even darker turn.
Violinist is suing Will Smith, claiming retaliation after he alleges that he was fired for reporting sexual harassment while on tour with Smith. Brian King Joseph filed the lawsuit in California earlier this week, accusing Smith of deliberately grooming him for sexual exploitation. Joseph says the two began spending time alone together during Smith's tour, and he says Smith allegedly told him that they had a, quote, special connection. It also details an alleged traumatic series of events, that's a quote, including Joseph finding that someone had allegedly entered his hotel room while he was not there. After reporting the incident to police, he alleges a representative for Smith accused him of lying and fired him. Smith denies these allegations.
When online voices started questioning the adults around Bryshere. Some commentators claimed his support system failed him or ignored warning signs as long as money and opportunities kept coming in. Those claims aren't proven, but they're spreading fast because they hit a nerve. Jaguar Wright went nuclear on the topic. She claimed she tried to speak to Bryshere's mother about what was happening behind the scenes, but said she wasn't taken seriously. Jaguar's language was aggressive, emotional, and explosive, basically accusing people of selling out their own family just to stay connected to the industry. She also attacked Charlie Mack, claiming he was part of how things were arranged behind the curtain. Again, these are Jaguar's claims, not court facts, but the way she says it, she's convinced she's seen enough to call it out loud. And now people are saying we've seen this pattern before. The same kind of mentorship, the same kind of gatekeeping, the same type of young talent getting moved around like a brand, not a human being. So whether you believe Jaguar, Bilal, or none of it, the bigger issue is clear. When Hollywood says, "I'm here to help you," the internet now asks one question every time. At what cost? When you look closely at the timeline, things get complicated fast. Around the same period Bilal claims Will was abusing Bryshere Gray, Bilal himself was dealing with repeated legal troubles and arrests. Critics point to that and ask whether personal chaos may have influenced his credibility. Others point out that public breakdowns don't automatically erase someone's claims. That tension is at the center of this story. Bryshere's own legal issues added fuel to the fire. His arrest made headlines, with police footage and interviews painting a picture of instability and confusion. The public watched in real time as authorities tried to piece together what had gone wrong, and many wondered whether deeper issues were already at play behind the scenes. According to Bilal, once Will realized he might be exposed, an NDA was introduced. Bilal says he was told that staying quiet was the safest option because continued accusations could drag him into criminal liability as an accessory. Eventually, a mutual NDA was signed, allegedly preventing both sides from speaking about each other. Bilal claims he has documentation supporting his version of events. He says Bryshere began telling people on set that Will and Diddy had assaulted him, allegedly, and that's when lawyers stepped in. According to Bilal, payment disputes followed, legal threats escalated, and he was pressured to accept silence instead of protection. He says his lawyers advised that a mutual NDA was the only way to shield himself legally. While that agreement limited what could be said, Bilal argues that it didn't erase what happened. Eventually, Bryshere spoke publicly about Bilal, and Bilal decided he wouldn't stay quiet while being blamed for things he says he didn't do. Meanwhile, Jada Pinkett Smith publicly dismissed Bilal as a liar and suggested legal action, but no lawsuit followed. Bilal later filed his own lawsuit, alleging that Jada confronted and threatened him in 2021, demanding silence. Court filings describe verbal intimidation and claims of retaliation. According to the complaint, after the 2022 Oscars incident, Bilal was allegedly asked to assist with crisis management. He says he declined, and that refusal triggered further retaliation. He claims he later gave interviews to protect himself once he began writing a whistleblower memoir about his time around the Smith family. What shocked many viewers was Jaguar Wright's response. She says she had already been speaking about Bryshere's situation a year earlier, long before Bilal went public, and that no one listened. Old interviews resurfaced showing her making similar claims as early as 2022. Since then, additional allegations have surfaced. Will Smith has also been sued by violinist Brian King Joseph, who alleges grooming, retaliation, and wrongful termination while on tour. Smith has denied those allegations. At this point, people are asking hard questions. We've watched similar situations unfold with other powerful figures before. Whether these claims are resolved in court or continue playing out publicly, one thing is certain. This conversation has moved beyond rumor, and once stories like this reach daylight, they rarely disappear again. What happens next may change everything.